Welcome to the tutorial series on Excel lookups for answering business questions. When you'll work on business data, you will notice that no one single data set is comprehensive enough to tell you the full story. The data is often scattered in multiple files, and you need to find a way to merge them so that you can generate insights. The Excel's lookup functions are a way to help you integrate this data. There are several such functions like VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, index, match, and so on and so forth, but we will start with the simplest one, which is VLOOKUP. For this, let's look at our Rossmann sales dataset where we have two different files, sales and stores, with different kind of information related to Rossmann sales and stores data. So let's have a look at these files and see how we can make most of them by combining the information. Here we have our Rossmann sales dataset. This dataset has the information about sales performed by individual stores. Here you see a store ID which ranges from 1 to 100 for the 100 stores. Then we have day of the week. Here 1 corresponds to a Monday, 2 is Tuesday, all the way to 6 being a Saturday and 7 Sunday. We have the dates for which sales and customer traffic is recorded. We have information on whether the store was open on that specific day or not by a 1 or a 0, whether there was a promotion running, yes or no, 1 or 0. Then we have state holiday. We have information about 4 kinds of state holidays, 0 being no holiday, then A, which is representing a public holiday, B is Easter holiday, and C is Christmas holiday. And last but not least, we have information on school holiday, which means whether the store is impacted by a school holiday, yes or no. Moving to the other file, which is our stores related information. Here we have store ID, which corresponds to detailed information about the stores which we saw in sales. We have store type A, B, and C, and D. From our original sources, it's not clear what A, B, C, and D are representing, but we can assume them to be city, rural, urban, suburban kind of store types. For the purpose of our analysis, we will stick with A, B, C, and D because it's not clear which one is which. And then we have assortment types. Here A represents a basic store, B is extra, and C represent an extended store. Next, we have the competition distance, which means how far away is the nearest competition in meters. Since when is the competition open? This gives us the year and month since the competition is open. It means, for example, for this store number 1, the competition is open since 2008 September. For store number 2, the nearest competition opened since 2007 November, and so on and so forth. When there are blanks, it means there is no competition in a reasonably close distance. Next, we have promo and actually promo 2. Promo 2 represents whether this store participates in an ongoing promotion or not. So there are some promotions which are one-off. Promo 2 represents promotions which are regular and repeated. So here we can see that store number 1 is not participating in any repeated promotion. Store number 2 is participating in a repeated promotion since 2010, week number 13. And since these promotions are repeated, so here is the promotional interval, which means that they are repeated. For example, this one every January, April, July, and October. This one is repeated every February, May, August, and November. So we can also guess over here that for stores for store IDs where our promo is 0, these values won't be there. And whenever it's 1, these values will be there, all 3 of these. Now, as you can imagine, There are a number of pieces of information which are available in this store related file, like the store type, information about the competition, information about promotions, and especially the repeated promotions. These are all available in stores file, and they are specific to different stores. They have nothing to do with the individual exact date, and we don't have any sales or customer related data over here. This information, the timeline information and the details about sales and customers, holidays, whether a promotion was running on that day or not, whether it was open on that day or not, all this information is coming from sales file. So imagine you have a business question like, what is the impact of competition on sales on a specific day? Or what is the impact of an assortment type on sales or customer traffic on a specific day? This information you cannot answer by only looking at one of these files. Rather, you need to merge these two files. So let's answer this concrete business question, that do assortments have an impact on sales? More specifically, let's say we want to answer if extended assortments have a positive or negative impact on sales compared to basic assortment. This is a very common business question. Our product team, our business team may want to know what is the impact of having a basic assortment of products versus extra or extended assortment of products. Should we include or should we expand it for more stores, or it really doesn't matter? So again, we would like to know whether the extended assortment contributes to the sales or it doesn't matter compared to the basic assortment. First things first, you know that our assortments are labeled as A, B, and C, and we mean that they are A represents basic, B means extra, and C represents extended. So we have the option to either leave this as ABC, but preferably let's give it a meaningful name. So let's take our column C and replace all the A's with basic, B with extra, and C with extended. This is part of the cleanup process that we need to do. So here we can go to edit and find A and replace it with basic. So we open up our pop-up, find A, replace with basic. And we want to do it for all in this column. Next, we want to search for B and replace it with extra. And here we need to make sure that we match the entire cell, otherwise the basic B of basic will be replaced with extra as well. So we need to be careful with that. Let's first search for it. So we can see that it is not looking at basic, the B of basic, rather only the cells with B. So we replace them. And finally, we look at C and we replace them with extended. Yes, replace all. And now our data is clean enough to, as we can see here, the A was replaced with basic. So we need to make sure that we don't make such mistakes. So assortments are now ready. And now what we need to do? We need to have this assortment information in our sales file. So let's take it there. Now there are a couple of ways you can bring this information to the other file. To begin with, what we will do is we will take this whole data and we will simply copy it to our sales file. Later on, we will see how you can actually access the data directly from this file without having the need to copy it into a common file. Of course, in real world, when you will have huge data sets, then you won't have the luxury to copy paste every column, every row, every data point into one common file. That won't be reasonably possible. But for now, let's focus on the lookup part and not on the accessing the file part. So we will just copy this to our main file, which is over here. Here, let's create a new sheet. Let's call this as store data. And paste the information which we have just copied over here. Of course, we should change our name for this raw data to also sales data, because now it's not just raw data, but the raw data of what sales. So here we have one sheet representing the sales related data and the other sheet related to the store related data. Let's reiterate our question. The business question was, do the stores with an extended assortment generate a higher average sales compared to those stores which have a basic assortment? So the parameters which are important for us now are store, because we want to have store information. The other parameter which is important for us is assortment. And the other parameter which is important for us is sales, because we want to compare these three things. Which one is the common parameter? Store is the common parameter, because store is the information which we have over here, and we have sales information per store, and store is the information which we have here, and we have assortment information per store. So the key which will combine the two sheets for us, which will combine the two data points for us, will be store. Now let's have a look at how you can use this information and how you can use a formula like VLOOKUP to make this integration, make this mapping, make this combination. Let's say we want to bring our assortment related data from here to here. And we want to add a column called assortment, where we will note the right assortment type. The formula goes like this. We start with equal to VLOOKUP. V stands for vertical, which means it will look for columns for the match. What do we want to look up for? We want to look up where we find this store ID. So we pick A2. Next, where should we look for this store ID? So we need to specify the columns or the table where we should look up for this number 57. That is in our store data sheet. So we go there and we need to pick up not only this column A, but also the column where the value will be found which we want to replace. Which means we should pick up column A till C. Next, we need to specify that, okay, a match is found. Now, what should I pick? So if we look at this table, this is column 1, this is column 2, and this is column 3. And we want to specify that when we find a match, we want to pick up the value in column number 3 and place it there. So we put a number 3 over here. And last but not least, we specify that we want an exact match, not an approximate match. So we will put a false here. And we close the bracket and we hit enter, and we come here and we see extended over here. First, let's verify if this is right. So this is store number 57 that we are talking about. So let's go to store data and check out store number 57. And for store number 57, our assortment is indeed extended. It means what it did was it looked for the store ID. It looked for the store ID in these 3 columns. It found the store ID over here. So it looked at the 3rd column in this table. This was 1, 2, and 3. And this was the value which it picked and then came here and placed it. Let's extend this formula to some more cells just to verify if this is working all right or not. So here 57, 57, 57, we see it's extended. Let's look at store number 84. So we go to store number 84 and we see it is also extended. This is what we see here. Let's look at store number 27 or store number 25. So store number 27 and store number 27 is here, which is basic. Store number 25 is also basic. It means we are getting the right values. So what we need to do now is to copy this value and make sure that we have it correctly for all the columns, for all the rows. So we go to the end and select the data points and paste it over here. So the same formula is copied throughout. Let's have a quick verification. Let's say store number 99 is extended, store number 100 is basic. Let's have a look. So store number 99 and 100. 99 is extended, 100 is basic. So we have mapped our data points correctly. The VLOOKUP part is complete here. But our bigger question was, what is the impact of extended versus basic stores on sales? The question that our business leadership wants to know is whether it makes a difference or not. And to answer that question, let's create a pivot table. Because using the pivot table, we will be able to count that for each category of assortment, what is the average sales that's generated. So we go ahead and insert a pivot table in a new sheet. And here our rows will be assortments. And here we see that we have basic and extended, which means that in those 100 rows or in those 100 stores, none of them had an extra label. And now we want to have our sales values. So we bring them to values. It's better to use average. So we pick up average instead of sum. And here we have our average sales. For extended, it's coming out to be 6,153, and for basic, it's coming out to be 5,025. And we can instantly answer that the extended stores give a higher average sales compared to the basic stores. And here we have a clear-cut insight which becomes the basis for our further decision. Before we close, let's also have a look at what if the sales and store data were not in the same file, rather the store data was in the other file which we saw earlier, this one. For this, what you need to do is, first of all, let's start typing the formula again. And instead of specifying a sheet which is within the same file, we specify the file name store over here and the sheet name sheet 1 in this case in our formula. So let's write this down. To make things easy, let's first type the same formula, assortment, from another file. Let's first write it as if we are writing it in the same file. So we would have written VLOOKUP, and then we would have said, what do we want to look? Where is the data? So far we were using the store data in the same file, and we were looking at columns A to C. Then we specified it is index number 3, column number 3, and we specified a false. This was our formula previously. Now what we need to change here is that instead of this store data, we need to specify that our data is coming from this file called store, and the sheet name is sheet 1. So we need to provide the file name store.xlsx and the sheet name, which we will do by editing this formula. So here we will specify within the quotation marks in square brackets, we will specify the file name, which is store dot xlsx, too many x's here, xlsx, and then our sheet name, which is sheet 1. And that's it. When you'll hit enter, it will pick the file name, it will pick the value from the other file and not the same sheet. To do this, what we can quickly do is to delete this file. So we have now deleted the store sheet from our main sheet, and you can see that this assortment field has become irrelevant because that sheet does not exist. But this still works because it is not looking at the sheet within the file, rather it is looking at the other file, which is right here. So in this short tutorial, we use the Excel function VLOOKUP and pivot tables to answer the business question, do the different assortment types of different stores impact the sales? We did not have all this information in the same file, so we first used the VLOOKUP to merge these files and then use pivot tables to aggregate the data and answer our business question.